The city's young heir from the capital spent an entire month setting up a pancake stall beneath my apartment just to court me. Each time I walked past, I pretended not to notice. In my past life, it was precisely this unwavering devotion that eventually moved me to accept his confession. Only later did I realize, behind his composed, abstinent gentleman facade was an intensity far too overwhelming for me to handle. Given another chance at life, I made one thing my priority: protecting my own peace and my backside. With a fresh start, I swore to guard it well. "Handsome guy, want a share of pancakes?" Caleb Winters's voice suddenly rang out. I froze, stunned for a second before turning my head, right into a pair of gentle eyes curved with a warm smile. It was the first time he had spoken to me first, throughout the past month. A month ago, I unexpectedly transmigrated back to the time before Caleb Winters and I ever became a couple. Back then, he had fallen in love with me at first sight during a party. Romantic. To pursue me, the proud and noble young master came downstairs to my apartment every day to set up a humble street food stall. In my past life, I was touched by his sincerity and accepted his confession. But during our first intimate night, I learned just how terrifyingly intense and ruthless he could be. He seemed to have a peculiar addiction to certain things. He pushed me so far my legs shook uncontrollably, trembling for hours. But what could I do? Once you're on the pirate ship, there's no easy way off. Since heaven gave me a second chance at life, this time, I swore I would protect my precious backside at all costs. I turned back to him, paused thoughtfully, then smiled apologetically. "Sorry, I'm actually allergic to eggs." His eyes flashed with shock. The next second, he blurted, "You've been allergic to eggs since when?" Then he abruptly fell silent, clearly realizing something was off. "Great." Confirmed. Caleb Winters also came back, with memories intact. I pretended I hadn't heard clearly, trying to end the conversation fast. "What did you just say?" His deep, dark gaze remained fixed on me, unreadable and heavy with meaning. After a long beat, he answered. "I said, be careful and stay safe when you're out." I forced a polite smile. "Thanks." Even though we had been together for 5 years in the past life, if I kept rejecting him, he surely couldn't keep this up for long, right? The next morning, day 2, I woke up to the thunderous roar of a supercar engine outside my building. There was Caleb Winters again, bustling downstairs, packing up, aggressively driving away customers who tried to buy his food. Then he spotted me and instantly smiled, bright and innocent as ever. "Want to try roasted lamb leg?" I personally marinated it. I stared at the juicy, glistening lamb, swallowing hard. It smelled insane. I inhaled deeply, forcing myself to refuse. "No, it's too greasy to eat this early. Bad for digestion." Day 3, seafood porridge. He looked exhausted. No longer glowing like before. "Want a bowl?" he asked, smiling, but not really smiling. I paused, spinning lies in my head at maximum speed. My stomach has a cold chill condition, I can't handle it. After that, I sprinted away under his icy stare. 3 months passed. The stalls changed daily. My excuses evolved endlessly. Until today, the stall was gone. His patience must have finally snapped. But of course, misfortune never comes alone. Forced overtime at work. It was pitch dark when I got home. Then, urgent footsteps behind me. Strong. Steady. Fast. I sped up, entering the alley. No lights. No clarity. Just when I thought I was safe, my wrist was yanked. Hard. My body slammed into a firm, wide embrace, chest hitting my head so forcefully I saw stars. Before I could recover, my hand was pinned high to the wall. He pressed against me from behind, fully caging me with his body. "Help, MMPH." My cry was smothered by a large hand gripping tightly over my mouth. My gaze dropped, landing on a wristwatch absurdly familiar. Oh hell no. Caleb Winters had completely lost it. I wanted to unleash every curse I knew, but I remembered he didn't know me yet. So I forced a terrified tone. Who are you? What do you want from me? He leaned down, lips brushing my ear, teeth grazing my neck as he chuckled softly with a low, dangerous smirk. Stop pretending you don't know me, baby. His hand slid from my waist to my belt as his voice turned sharp, dark, and teasing. Need your husband to help jog your memory, sweetheart? You suddenly developed egg allergies? A weak stomach from the cold? How come I never knew you had any of those issues, Julian Cross? You'd better give me a believable explanation, or else. His hand smacked lightly against me in warning, his voice dropping to a dangerous tone. Tonight? You are not making it out alive, baby. I flinched instinctively. Think, you idiot, think fast. Come up with an excuse that makes sense and, more importantly, won't piss off Caleb Winters. My brain spun at lightning speed, nearly overheating, smoke practically rising from my ears. Still nothing. No perfect lie formed. Caleb finally ran out of patience. He scoffed, lips pulling into a sharp smirk. If it's that hard to think, then stop trying. When you can't take it anymore, you'll beg me yourself to listen to your so-called explanation. He gently tapped my cheek, eyes dark with desire as he asked. The car? Or your place? I instantly chose, defeated. Home. Mine. Letting my guard down here was not an option. Caleb was fully capable of shamelessly devouring me right on the sidewalk if I hesitated even a second longer. The moment the front door shut, before the lights could even flick on, Caleb was already hunting for my lips in the dark, impatient and starving. What's the rush? I tried to breathe, voice uneven. He growled softly, irritated, leaning his forehead against mine in the shadows. You really have the nerve to ask that? He dragged one arm under me, lifting me off the ground effortlessly. 3 months. 3. Tell me, when have I ever had to go through that kind of misery before? He carried me straight into the bedroom like I weighed nothing more than temptation itself. And he was right. In that past lifetime, this man never lacked anything. Not food. Not comfort. Certainly not me. He ate well. Every day. So well that eventually, I started hiding at work until nearly 9 p.m. just to dodge his appetite for affection, and for me. A starved wolf doesn't make negotiations. For 3 full days, I didn't leave the apartment once. I lay in bed buried under blankets, emotionally deceased, while Caleb wrapped himself around my waist, satisfied, shameless, and glowing. Can't you just take one more day off? He murmured against my neck, voice softer now, coaxing. I'll get the approval for you. The old man would approve anything I ask for. A week off? 2? 3? Stay here with me a little longer, will you? Caleb was full. Which meant Caleb was in a good mood. The rage and frustration from that alley encounter were gone. Now he clung to me like a dangerous but affectionate koala. I patted the top of his head gently and negotiated my employment status like a man negotiating for survival. Nope. If I don't show up at work, I'll be jobless. You know how awful the market is right now, right? He didn't insist further. He knew better than to argue. In the past, he had once handed me an unlimited black card and told me to never work again. When I refused, he even tried suggesting I come be his secretary. I declined that too, of course. And somehow, he always ended up giving me what I wanted. My stubbornness paid off beautifully back then. On nights when I didn't want to be devoured, I'd stay in the office playing games until 8:30 before walking home like a king. Caleb usually held back at that hour, no matter how much he wanted me. But now, he tightened his arms around my waist without warning. Julian Cross, you don't like me anymore, do you? My body turned numb with panic before my brain could catch up. What makes you think that? He lifted his head from my neck, gaze sharp and frighteningly perceptive. 3 days and you haven't given me an answer. Every time I ask you, you kiss me, you flirt, you wrap yourself around me, trying to distract me with your body instead of talking. And another thing, he added, voice clipped but controlled. In the past, even if you couldn't stay with me, you looked at least a little sad about it. Regretful. Just like me. But just now? He narrowed his eyes slightly. You were smiling. Happy. He leaned in slowly, voice turning low and painfully calm. Julian Cross, if I hadn't come back with you, were you planning to let me slip away just like that again? I clenched every ounce of courage I had left and gave the smallest, most pathetic nod known to man. Caleb exploded. What the hell? His voice cracked with fury. Why? Julian Cross, wasn't I good to you? Did I ever treat you badly? Then why would you do something like that to me? Tell me. I inhaled slowly, preparing myself for emotional execution. Because your needs are insane, and I can't handle it. I turned to meet his murderous, offended, soul-piercing glare. And since you want honesty? I continued, voice shaking but determined. Let's make one thing clear today. We're not compatible. I can't keep up with your appetite. I wanted to tell you that in our past life already. I just never found the right time before I got thrown back here. I thought, I admitted, pressing my back against the wall of truth itself. That if we both got a new start, maybe we'd just pretend none of it ever happened. Apparently, I exhaled, hand slightly raised like a white flag. You also came back. So, should we just break up peacefully, like adults? Silence. Heavy, burning, terrifying silence. After what felt like forever, Caleb Winters still hadn't spoken a word. He kept his gaze lowered, expression calm and unreadable, like a still lake with no ripples. I had no idea what was running through his mind. A long moment passed before he finally lifted his eyes, staring at me deeply, sharp, steady, convinced. That's not it. That can't be the real reason, he said decisively. Julian Cross, I can read you like an open book. I know every tiny shift in you, when you're satisfied, when you're tired, when you're pretending to be fine. Yes, my needs are high, but if you truly didn't want it, you always had your own way of handling me. You would secretly stay at the office, blaming that heartless boss of yours for forcing you to work late. Even with that childish trick, you never once brought up breaking up. So I refuse to believe that's why you want to walk away. There must be another reason. He traced his thumb gently over my lower lip, his tone turning softer, coaxing now, danger gone, persuasion rising. Be a good boy for me. Tell your husband the truth. If there's a misunderstanding, we can fix it together. I swallowed. No, he could never find out. He would never know that the truth was, I had discovered someone else in his heart. A person I had never been prepared to face. In the previous lifetime, while I was packing for one of his business trips, a photograph had slipped out from the inner pocket of his suit vest. A boy. Soft features. Graceful aura. Someone I had never met before. I had encountered his relatives a few times, but none of them matched that face. No trace, no name, no history. The photo didn't fall from just anywhere, it fell from the chest pocket closest to his heart. There was no mistaking it. This was someone unforgettable. Someone important. Someone impossible to erase. Ironically, I had always believed we were each other's first love. But hearts aren't binary. I could feel with absolute clarity that Caleb loved me, but part of him loved someone else too. And I knew even more clearly, those two had no future anymore. If they did, a man like Caleb Winters would burn the whole world down just to stay with that person. For me? Physical betrayal wasn't the only betrayal. Even emotional hesitation. Even temporary distraction. To me, that was already treason. I gave him 100% of my heart. But the love he gave me had always kept a door slightly open for another ghost. In the softest part of his heart, another person still lived. Mine, and his love was no longer pure. It carried a third ingredient. And that was never what I had signed up for. So even if I loved him more than anything, I couldn't continue anymore. While I was drowning in thought, he suddenly reached forward and pinched my cheek slightly, annoyed. Stubborn to the end, huh? He sneered. I shook my head, looking at him seriously now, not the scared boy he had preyed on in the alley, but someone trying to negotiate with fate itself. No misunderstanding. I just want a different life. Since the universe rebooted us, why not try someone else? After all, to him, I was replaceable. He had a person inside his heart. If I couldn't accept it, then he could just go find someone who could. Simple logic. Heartbreaking logic. His expression contorted, gaze turning cold, blade steel sharp now. You want someone else? He echoed, offended like a king insulted. What, am I not trying hard enough for you? Then, like the conversation had randomly swerved into the wrong lane entirely, he grabbed my waist and pulled out his phone, dialing his assistant. Leon, he said in a low, unsettling voice. Call the chairman of Cloud Horizon Group. Get Julian Cross 1 full month of leave. I don't care what excuse you use. And while you're at it, send me the files of every colleague Julian has ever worked with. Call ended. Curtain dropped. He leaned down slowly, eyes half closed, burning with possessive fury. I want to see who the hell lives in that damn company of yours that makes you miss it so badly. 1 day away and you already get withdrawal symptoms, sweetheart? His voice spiraled back into violence, imagination wildly unhinged now. I'll drag that third-party lover of yours out of hiding. I'll ship him off to Africa to dig coal. Break him, ruin him, deform him until he turns into something hideous. You think you can dump me like this? Dream on. He leaned closer, nostrils flaring with wounded pride and hunger for destruction. You really think you could just restart and miss me like nothing happened? No. I came back here too. With you. For a reason. You were willing to end things gently with me, he sneered. Then let's see how generous you'll feel after I obliterate every temptation around you. If you like someone, I'll destroy them. One by one, I'll turn every flirt you ever glance at into coal black leather. Sand-scorched skin. Wrinkles carved by desert storms. I don't care how many you consider. I don't care if all of them line up to love you. For them? You choose to leave me? He flicked my nose lightly, tone teasing but chilling as winter hellfire. You can't even get pregnant. If you could, I'd make your belly even bigger by now. A wave of rage surged inside my soul. Why the hell would he think of me like that? Don't you dare cross the damn line. I snapped, voice finally breaking out of containment. Who gave you the right to apply for leave on my behalf? That's my job. He leaned down and bit my Adam's apple, slow, teasing, territorial, unrestrained. Keep yelling, baby. Before I get the truth? You're not stepping out of this house. I'm not letting you run off to meet anyone else. He pulled back slightly, breath warm on my throat, voice low and enthralled with madness but impossibly certain. We end here? Julian Cross, baby. No. He grabbed my face, grinding his teeth, and you, if you can't guard your own heart, I have to punish you too. From today on, I won't show you mercy. Before, I held back my desires because I worried you might be tired. Looking back now, I was such a stupid pig. I gave my strength to you, and you used yours to tempt someone else. I should tire you out until you can't even get off the bed, watch over you day and night. That way, you won't have that wandering mind anymore. His tirade of verbal abuse finally pushed me over the edge. I jabbed him in the chest, eyes blazing. On what grounds do you speak to me like that? Julian Cross, I've been serious about us, ready to spend my life with you. And you? There's someone else in your heart. Caleb Winters laughed through his anger, grinding his jaw. His face darkened. Someone else? I don't even know there's someone else in me. How do you know? Tell me their name. I want to see what kind of trash it is. He glanced at me sharply. Say it. What, you can't lie anymore? I paused, feeling an inexplicable twinge of fear. But I hadn't done anything wrong, so why be scared? I straightened my chest and spoke clearly. I don't know his name, but you know exactly who it is. Caleb Winters snorted, gripping my chin and locking eyes with me. Then the appearance, the voice, you're sure about it? Of course I remembered. Burned into my memory, single-lidded eyes, looks rather frail, about 1.75 meters tall, wearing a pink padded jacket on top, white pants below, fluffy slippers, holding a sparkler, in the backyard. For years, you kept a photo of him, in the storage room on the second floor, inside the left chest pocket of that dark gray chiton vest. Caleb Winters stared at me, unmoving. Good. That was indeed his Bayuguang. I sneered coldly. Well? Not sending him off to dig coal? Caleb Winters said nothing. After a long moment, he flipped through his phone, finally finding a photo. Is this him? He asked. Exactly. Perfect. Not only did he keep a physical photo, but also a copy in his phone. I elbowed him in frustration, struggling to get off the bed. I had to erase every trace that bastard had left on me. Filthy. I didn't need it anymore. Before I could even get up, Caleb Winters pinned me down. His eyes glinted meaningfully. He really can't be sent to dig coal. Humph. I laughed in anger. Fine, keep him then. Can I go dig coal now? And to top it off, he accused me of having a side lover. My eyes burned red with fury as I spat out, fine. Send me and my side lover off to Africa to dig coal, all right? Caleb Winters shook his head. No. You two still have to live together afterwards. Damn it. This man really felt like he was sitting on my neck, defecating. So he's going to ruin everything once he feels he's pierced my defenses? Live together too? Does he think he's some emperor with 72 concubines? Ridiculous. I instantly exploded. Don't go too far. He lowered his eyes at me. Farther than this. His birthday's coming. You'll even have to go shopping with me for him. Wow. Truly eye-opening. That little brat, shopping for gifts? I swear I'd smash those two adulterers to pieces. Does he really think I'm some soft, pliable fruit? Caleb Winters ignored me. Not a flicker of emotion crossed his face as he silently started dressing me. I refused to cooperate, twisting and squirming like a leech. Don't touch me. A filthy man like you isn't worthy to touch this noble body. From now on, you are a man I can never have. Go find your beautiful concubines. And living together? I despise you, you shameless wretch. I thought you were secretly keeping him in your heart, but it turns out you carry him with you all the time. So every night you torment me? Huh? He's the bright moon hung high, untouchable, just to look at him without staining him, and I'm just to be sullied, played with? Huh. Not anymore. I too must find a man to keep close. Everyone needs someone of strength. What do you want to do? The previously silent man suddenly spoke. Cold, ruthless eyes drilling into me, voice sharp, I'll ask you again. What do you want to do? Fine. I admit it, I really am a soft, pliable fruit. I'm scared. I turned my face away, cowardly, refusing to answer. Caleb Winters finished dressing me, then draped a scarf around my neck, covering the hickeys on my skin. In the middle of June, I felt like a helpless fool. Once dressed, he surveyed the chaotic bedroom. After a moment's thought, Caleb Winters scooped me up in his arms and placed me on the sofa in the living room. I was confused, not understanding his intentions. He didn't answer, but set a soft cushion under my hips, glanced around the room, and nodded in satisfaction. The moment after that, he pulled out his phone and started a video call. 1 second later, the call connected. A delicate, handsome face appeared on the screen. The boy smiled and waved. Bro, why are you calling me this early in the morning? Oh, he even calls him bro now? I glanced at the man beside me, Caleb Winters, whose eyes were practically melting with affection. Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. If they want to be sweet, fine. But now they're flirting right in front of me? What, am I part of their sick little game too? Unbelievable. I wished I could stuff both their faces with something vile. And right as I seethed, Caleb suddenly said, "Go on then, say hi to your big sister-in-law." The boy obediently smiled. "Hello, sister-in-law. I heard he's been chasing you for ages. He never let me see a photo though," he added cheerfully, "so it's an honor to finally meet you. And wow, you are beautiful, sis-in-law." Sister-in-law? Wait, Caleb only has an older brother and a younger sister. Since when did he get a little brother? Was this some illegitimate son of Mr. Winters? My thoughts went immediately to Mrs. Winters, the refined, dignified woman who never once looked down on me just because I was a man. She carried herself with elegance, treated everyone around her with gentle grace. How could Caleb accept that illegitimate child so quickly? Did she even know? My chest tightened. I turned to Caleb, snapping, "You've disappointed me beyond words." He hung up the call, grabbed my wrist, and yanked me into his arms. "What wild theory did you cook up in that head of yours now?" I shoved his hand away. "You and Mr. Winters have both wronged Mrs. Winters." He froze. Then realization hit. He rubbed his temple, exhaling slowly like a man who had aged 10 years in one breath. "Julian. That kid is my biological sibling. Same father, same mother." I paused. "Okay. Then why didn't he ever show up again, later?" My memory couldn't be wrong. But this extra little brother. I didn't even dare finish the thought. Caleb coughed, a rare moment of awkwardness breaking through his usual confidence. "Funny thing," he muttered, "he was my brother. Then he became my sister." What? Well, great. Everything made perfect sense now. Caleb's younger sibling, Ethan Winters, always believed she was meant to be a girl. So the moment she turned 18, she went through gender-affirming surgery and finally became Caleb's younger sister. By the time Caleb and I made things official and met the family, she'd already recovered. I never had a clue she was once a boy. Heat flared behind Caleb's eyes, hungry, intense, smoldering. He forced my chin up, voice low, sharp, dangerous. "So," he murmured, "how should we settle this debt, Julian?" I swallowed. "Debt? What debt?" Pain shot through my jaw as his restraint finally snapped. "No more pretending you don't know," he warned, suddenly dead serious. "You had a problem. Why didn't you tell me?" "If I hadn't come back with you," he said, "we might have never crossed paths again. You would have thrown away 5 years of us over a tiny misunderstanding? That's cold, babe. Really cold." "Egg allergy? Cold stomach? Since when did you ever have that habit, Julian Cross?" The accusation hadn't even finished leaving Caleb's mouth when he added, voice deep and threatening, "Tonight, you won't get off that easy." I shivered before I could stop myself. Think, idiot. Think faster. A reason that sounded believable, one that wouldn't set Caleb off even more. My brain spun like it was overheating, neurons screaming at full speed, smoke practically rising from my skull. But I still couldn't find one damn excuse that made sense. Caleb finally ran out of patience. He scoffed. "Fine. Then stop making excuses. When you can't take it anymore." He leaned in, lowering his voice to a dangerous whisper. "You'll beg for a chance to explain yourself to me." He tapped my cheek, gaze burning with undisguised hunger. "So, my place, or the car?" I tilted my head away, trying to play deaf. He didn't look angry. If anything, he almost sounded indulgent when he suddenly pulled me in, stealing a hard kiss before saying, "You want it right here?" I shot back immediately, "Absolutely not. My house." Caleb was unhinged enough to take that as permission and do it right here if I even hesitated a second longer. He dragged me the entire way home, hand locked around mine like irons. He was starved, 3 months without release had clearly pushed him past any sane limit. He was one breath away from exploding. The door barely shut before he was already reclaiming my lips in the dark. I gasped, breath shaky. "What's the rush for?" He grumbled, irritated. "You tell me." 3 months starving. Have I ever endured that kind of torture before? Today you're making it up to me once and for all. No hesitation. He lifted me into his arms and marched straight to the bedroom. And sure enough, he had never suffered a drought like that. In our past life, I couldn't handle it anymore, hiding out at work just to get a break. Assertion falsehood. If he wanted something, he barely forced it. Then he asked bluntly, out of nowhere. "Julian Cross, you don't like me anymore, do you?" My body stiffened. "Why would you say that?" His one-eyed stare narrowed, watching every micro heartbeat of my reaction. "You didn't answer me for 3 days. Every time I asked, you kissed me, trying to distract me." He swallowed hard, eyes glassy, angry, hurt, raw. "If I hadn't crossed back with you, were you planning on letting me fade out of your life like that forever?" I braced myself. "Yeah." Barely a nod. He lost it, snapping, storm swirling back in his voice. "Why? Julian, have I ever been anything but good to you?" I sucked in a breath, not backing down this time. "You want an answer? Then we're being honest. Your needs are too big. I can't meet them anymore. I knew you cared about me." My voice cracked halfway through, posture shaking. "But you also cared about someone else." I didn't know his name, but I'd found the photo once. Caleb went dead still. He pulled up an image on his phone after scrolling for what felt like ages. "Him? Not letting him go? Is it? Fine. Maybe I'll go then." Then the truth spilled. The boy was his sibling. Born his brother, then became his sister named Ethan Winters. Fast forward to now. Nothing moved behind Caleb's door that night. For the first time, he slept without me. And by 3:30 in the morning, still nothing. That's when it finally hit me. I had actually reached his limit this time. The threats were real. The distance was real. And worst of all, for the first time in 5 years, he wasn't bluffing. Fine. Caleb Winters really should be angry. After all, he hadn't done anything yet, and I had already sentenced him to, well, the death penalty in my mind. Hesitating for a while, I got up, preparing to climb into Caleb's bed to appease him properly. Just as I reached his door, my hand pressed the handle, and it didn't budge. Locked. No wonder, before he entered the room, Caleb had taken my spare key, claiming with full justification that today I was being punished. At the time, I thought he was bluffing. Apparently, he was serious. This time, Caleb Winters wasn't going to let things slide easily. He wanted me to reflect step by step, admit my faults, and completely trust him. Perhaps he was also terrified, if he hadn't returned, he might have lost me forever. Early the next morning, I shuffled downstairs with dark circles under my eyes. Caleb had already prepared breakfast. He glanced at me, a flicker of sympathy crossing his eyes, but his voice quickly froze into its usual cold tone. "Come eat." I walked slowly over and stood before him, taking in his deliberately indifferent expression. I bent down and gave him a kiss. His breathing hitched, voice low. "What's that for?" I met his gaze. "To soothe you." Honestly, 5 years with Caleb, every time we argued, he could calm himself. I had no experience in soothing anyone else. I had thought all night, maybe gifts wouldn't work. Prince Caleb Winters had probably never seen such a thing. You can't just hand him a few trinkets and expect forgiveness. I analyzed carefully what Caleb liked the most. The conclusion was, me. Still, it seemed that wasn't enough. Caleb snorted coldly, tone rigid. "A light kiss and you think I'll forgive you? Julian Cross, don't be ridiculous. Tonight, you still can't sleep with me." He turned his back and walked out, expression emotionless. What? Before, I only dried my hair and Caleb couldn't contain himself, he'd immediately pressed his lips to mine. Today I had initiated it, and he turned away. That evening, he still didn't let me into the room. I squatted outside the door, opening my phone and beginning Plan B. It's fine, just come in quietly. The other room is asleep, he won't hear. Be gentle, don't make a sound. Seconds later, the door slammed open and Caleb Winters stormed out, face pale. Who are you texting? Talking sweetly for my sake, and it turns out there's really a mistress? Who's the bastard? If I don't break his legs today, it'll be a miracle. I jumped up, wrapping my arms around his neck and pushing him back into the room. There's no one. I was tricking you. Please let me in tonight, how can I soothe you if you don't sleep with me? Caleb chuckled angrily, pushing me away with one hand. Additional punishment, tomorrow morning, no more soft-boiled eggs for you. I'll cook them fully. He looked indifferent, shutting the door with a thud. I stood stunned. 2 seconds later, the door opened again, and I looked at him eagerly. I knew it, he couldn't really turn his back on me. Just as I was about to step in, he pressed my shoulder and snatched my phone. The door slammed once more. I looked at my empty hands. Ugh, I could die. Tonight was definitely going to be sleepless. The next morning, Caleb kept his word, he cooked a fully hard-boiled egg for me. I glanced at him cautiously. He didn't even look up. Coldly. If you throw it away, don't expect me to cook for you again. I sighed. I didn't really want to eat it, but I didn't want to upset Caleb. Thinking for a moment, I slipped my foot into his pants, subtly hooking his ankle. His eating motion froze. He looked up and caught me sneaking bites of my fully cooked egg. Eyes darkening, tongue teasingly biting the corner of his mouth. His gaze turned intense, he grabbed my ankle, kneading it roughly, desire swirling in his eyes. Just as I thought he was about to lose control, he set my foot back in place, snatched the egg from my bowl, and grumbled. Stop messing around. Don't want it? Don't eat it. He swapped the soft-boiled egg from his bowl to mine. I smiled, Caleb had never eaten soft-boiled eggs. After breakfast, he left for work, movements a little stiff. I lowered my gaze, then said. Want some? He didn't turn around. His voice hoarse beyond belief. Want what? I'm going to work. I followed closely, wrapping my arms around his waist from behind. But if you're not going to bed with me, how am I supposed to soothe you? He choked on his words, you only know that way? I looked pitiful. But the easiest time to talk is when you're in bed, when you're at your peak. If I admit fault, you'll forgive me. Caleb turned, smiling like he wasn't smiling. Before, I said I wouldn't touch you. Didn't you enjoy it? I just let you enjoy it a few more days, what's wrong with that? I could hear his pouting tone clearly. Of course, I couldn't let him go to work like that, otherwise my offense would grow another notch. I grabbed his belt buckle, locking it, unlocking it, again and again. Caleb's patience began to fray. He pressed my hands down, voice deep. What? Are your hands itchy? I ignored the oppressive gaze of Caleb Winters and bent down to kiss the buckle of his belt. Almost immediately, his body stiffened noticeably. I casually let go, looking at Caleb's flushed face, and smiled lightly. If you don't want this, fine. I'll think of another way to soothe you. I couldn't believe it. I had taken the initiative, and Caleb Winters still managed to hold back. Sure enough, the next second, my arm was yanked, and my waist pulled tight. His body radiated heat, his warm, humid breath burning against my skin. He lowered his head, pressing delicate kisses along my neck, voice deep and velvety. Julian Cross, you really need to be taught a lesson. He laughed at something, though the smile never reached his eyes. He lifted my chin, planted a soft kiss. Easy to talk to, right? Today, I'll show you just how easy it is to talk to me, in bed. With that, he hugged me around the waist and carried me toward the room, threatening coldly as he walked. "Julian Cross, until I'm fully appeased, I won't let you leave this room. You brought this on yourself." Caleb Winters was ruthless. I had been crying for days, my eyes swollen and sore. I begged, promised I wouldn't do it again, even offered to sign a written vow, but no softness emerged from this man. He just kissed me, voice hoarse. "Focus. I'm still angry. Be good, open your mouth." Now I finally understood just how patient Caleb had been in the past, how much he had restrained himself, always controlling his desires. Once more, I instinctively opened my mouth, but there was no kiss. I looked at Caleb. He was leaning against the headboard, sucking on a lollipop. I disliked the smell of smoke, so after being with me, Caleb had quit his habit. When craving struck, he simply popped a candy into his mouth. He looked down at me for a long moment, gently brushing the sweat-drenched strands of hair from my forehead. His voice carried exhaustion after our passionate encounter. "Easy to talk to, isn't it?" I shook my head, too tired to respond. He lifted his hand, touching the corners of my tear-stained eyes, speaking gently. "Julian Cross. I'm really hard to soothe. I always restrain myself only because it's you. I don't want you sad. I don't want to see that pitiful look on your face, so even if you're wrong, I force myself to calm down before soothing you." He paused, then continued. "But this time, you really crossed my red line. If I hadn't come back, perhaps I would have gone along with the family's plans and interacted with a suitable match. If I couldn't be with the one I love, it wouldn't matter who I ended up with. Have you ever thought, if, in a past life, I had seen myself in this life marrying someone else, what would I have done?" I blushed, lowering my head. "Caleb Winters, in the future, I'll tell you everything, okay? I'm sorry. Don't be angry anymore. I promise, it won't happen again." Caleb exhaled deeply, pulled me close, and leaned his head near my ear. His eyes flashed with a dark, incomprehensible light. "Julian, if there is a next time, it won't be this simple. You definitely won't want to see the dark side of me." I shivered from head to toe, quickly nodding. There won't be a next time. I couldn't endure any more at this level. The thought of a next time was terrifying. Caleb Winters stroked my hair, and finally, his gaze softened. He had been appeased. Wonderful. This old back of mine would no longer bear the punishment. I held onto his waist, sore and aching, silently vowing never to anger Caleb Winters again. My bottom had truly hurt enough.